Between about 1985 and 1995, I probably went to about 1,000 jumble sales, I'd say, about 100 a year. And about a third of those jumble sales was this young guy about my age, wearing denim, quite handsome, with like a scarf and whatnot. So he was sort of my demographic, as it were, and which was unusual in those queues. I had no idea who this person was, but he always got the good stuff. He was usually standing ahead of me. And then about 10 years later, I was introduced to Mike Nelson. I realized it was this person who I'd been like eyeballing and wondering who he was and was very suspicious of for years. So I knew Mike 10 years before I actually spoke to him. I didn't know it was Mike Nelson. I just knew it was this slightly annoying person ahead of me at the queue at jumble sales. In the sense that's Mike's origin story, is the jumble sale, and sort of mine as well. I suppose what's interesting is that when people throw something away, you wonder why it's been thrown away. Why didn't they want that record or that book, this amazing piece of art or an object or a piece of clothing? Who was the person? And so it's the past life of something is always quite fascinating. And you find that in a lot of Mike's work, especially in the asset strippers as well. When we don't even know what these objects are now, their meaning is lost to us because the industrial culture they're made in has gone. For people of my age as well, as in Mike's, we witnessed the end of this culture totally, almost, the kind of snuffing out of it effectively in the 80s. And it was a very violent snuffing out, I have to say. It is effectively a memorial to death of a way of life and of a class solidarity and a culture. Like I said, there's a great mystery to them because now we really have no idea what these things are. So they actually look more like surrealist objects than they do working objects. If there is such a thing as a contemporary monument, that's what he's made. When you walk around the installation downstairs, I think that's basically a walking around Mike's mind, effectively, I think. Because if you have a conversation with Mike, it goes in strange directions it is like walking into one room and then you walk into another room and then this happens and so on, and you don't really know where it's going. That sense of confusion almost, or taking tangents, is something that Mike does a lot when he discusses things. And you see his thought processes happening live, as it were, when he's talking to you. Luckily, I was in it by myself and walking around by myself, and at one point there is a sense of dread when you're walking through. A palpable, for me, sense of dread is you don't really know what you're going to come across or who you're going to come across in the room. And I think that's a very unusual experience to have in an art exhibition, certainly. And then when we see what we have behind us, especially the way it's choreographed, when you come up the stairs and you see it, this to me is like something out of 2001. Something that's incredibly hyper-modern in terms of the building, and then you have this scene of sort of decay within it. I was very impressed when I came out the stairs the first time to see this, because I wasn't expecting it. And that's the thing about when you look at something online, you look at it on Instagram or whatever, there's no substitute for actually coming to somewhere and seeing it. I'm sure a lot of artworks are better on phones, but this one is better in person. Which is actually a great thing to say, to get people to come along to see it. But I totally believe that.